Today, we are going to create the Cryptic morning appliance cover on the Continental M17. This project features 9mm monogramming, using the pattern combination key and machine applique. We have pre-printed the included templates for the triangles and the crossword. The links for this project are included in the description below. Don't forget to subscribe to keep up to date with all our tips and tricks for your Janome. Following the manufacturer's instructions, attach the bag stabilizer to the 11-inch by 14-inch piece of side fabric. Using the erasable fabric marker, create a grid on the side fabric piece that has the bag stabilizer attached. Measure down 1.5 inches from the top and mark this line. I am working upside down in the video, so I don't obscure the camera's view. Continue marking at half-inch increments to create 17 horizontal lines. Now, create the vertical lines. Start 1 3/4 in from the side and mark 22 lines, half an inch wide across the fabric. You should now have a grid that is 21 squares across and 16 squares down. Set the piece of fabric aside for the moment and grab the crossword printed template. I found using color pencils to color code the letters helpful when locating their placements on the grid. Select the decorative and quilting categories. Select the program key. Select the monogramming category. Select the 9mm block lettering option. Select your first letter. I have chosen the letter M. Now, select the decorative and quilting category again, and select the lock-off stitch. Use the cursor key, or the B icon to select the letter and change the foot presser to 4. This will help with the thickness of the bag stabilizer. Attach the F foot and zigzag needle plate to the machine. Insert the bobbin and a purple tip Janome needle. Finally, thread the machine with your chosen decorative thread. I recommend testing your stitches on a piece of scrap fabric before stitching directly onto the project piece. Using the erasable fabric marker, locate all the grid squares that the letter M needs to be added to. Line up the foot so that the letter will be stitched in the center of the grid square. The use of the thumb wheel can be helpful during this step. Stitch out the letter. Continue until all the letter MS have been added to the grid. Use the cursor keys to select the letter. Delete the letter. Select the next letter you wish to stitch out. Don't forget to adjust the foot pressure and select the Start Over key. Stitch out all the grid squares allocated for that letter. Continue working through the crossword letters, marking them off as you go. When you have completed all the lettering, select the decorative and quilting category. Select the program key and select decorative stitch number 7. Adjust the foot pressure to 4. Thread the machine with your chosen contrasting thread. Line up the needle drop position with the centrally located vertical line. Stitch out the first grid line, remembering to lock off at the end. Following your instruction book, attach the quilting guide bar to the shank. Set the guide at 1/2 inch using the markings on the needle plate. Line the quilting guide bar up with the previous stitched line. Using this line as a guide, continue stitching out the rows. Rotate the fabric and continue the same process for the horizontal lines. Continue until the grid is complete. Using the needle plate markings, adjust the quilting guide bar to 1 inch and change the bobbin to 1 filled with bobbin fill. Select the Home key. Select the Sewing Applications menu. Select the quilt category. Select Sashiko and the second option. Change the foot pressure to 4. On the second 11-inch by 14-inch side fabric, attach the second piece of bag stabilizer. Using the quilting ruler, draw a 45-degree angle with the erasable fabric marker. Line up the needle drop position with the drawn line and stitch out the first line of Sashiko stitching. Line up the quilting guide bar with the first line of stitching, and use it as the guide for the next stitch line. Continue until all the side fabric panel is covered. Press both side panels with the iron and trim back to 10-inch by 13-inch rectangles. Using the printed triangle templates, cut out the applique pieces from the assortment of beige fabrics. Select the lockout key and the needle plate release key. Change to the HP needle plate. Remove the bobbin and attach the HP 2-foot. Thread the machine top and bottom to complement the beige fabric. With right sides together, line the edge of the pair of triangles up with the edge of the foot. Stitch a 1/4 inch seam around 3 sides, leaving the base of the triangle open for turning. Repeat for all 6 triangles. Clip the corners of the seam allowance and turn each triangle right sides out. Press with an iron. Change to the zigzag needle plate and attach the F foot. Thread the machine with the purple twisted embroidery thread. Decorate the triangles with built-in decorative stitches. Following the manufacturer's instructions, attach the bag stabilizer to the main fabric piece. Arrange the triangles along the edge of one of the 13-inch sides. Select the Home key. Select the Sewing Application menu. Select the quilting category and select Applique. Use the second stitch option to attach all 6 triangles. Change to the HP needle plate and the HP 2-foot. Thread the machine top and bottom with matching thread. Select the dual feed key and change to stitch option 3. Adjust the stitch length for the thickness of the bag stabilizer. Using a 1/2 inch seam allowance, attach the 2 side panels to the main fabric panel. Take the lining pieces and seam them the same way. Turn both sections out the correct way. Insert the lining into the padded appliance cover. Finish the cover off by attaching bias binding to cover the raw edges. Don't forget to subscribe to keep up to date with all our tips and tricks for your Janome.